Right after word leaked from inside the jail about Lil Durk's alleged brutal conditions behind bars,
They got Little Durk in a hole for basically some BS. And right now we're gonna show the paper.
new footage of him being transferred out of solitary confinement went viral. And it didn't just trend, it exploded. Rappers like G Herbo had already hinted that something big was coming. Subtle tweets, cryptic captions, the kind of coded language the culture understands without explanation. But no one knew the twist would hit like this, because this wasn't a release home, it was a release from isolation.
Durk is in there, man, realizing the world don't stop spinning because you lie.
And for months, fans had been watching every court filing, every docket update, every rumor like it was Game 7 of the finals. The timeline that made this moment bigger than it looked. To understand why that short clip of Durk stepping out of the SHU hit so hard, you have to rewind.
Vlad, this is a
Life?
this is a life imprisonment case. There's
Okay.
no in between. This isn't state court. There's no,
Right.
hey, we'll do 10, 15. It's a life case.
On October 24, 2024, U.S. Marshals arrested him in Broward County, Florida, near Miami International Airport. Just one day earlier, 5 alleged members of his OTF collective had been indicted. Prosecutors named Durk as the alleged organizer. He was extradited to Los Angeles, arraigned November 15, 2024, pleaded not guilty. Bond denied. December 2024, denied again. May 2025, prosecutors cited alleged jail phone violations. June 2025, bail review denied again. They even alleged he attempted to flee to Dubai before arrest. Every motion, every hearing, every attempt, the answer stayed the same: no.
If you and I talk, state cases are kind of middle school basketball and federal cases are kind of the NBA all-star in terms of the complexity and everything that goes into
Solitary confinement, the part fans didn't see. Then came August 2025. Durk was placed in the Special Housing Unit, SHU, after allegedly being found with an unauthorized Apple Watch. SHU isn't just a tougher cell, it's isolation.
locked in. I mean, they are locked in. They're in front of grand juries. There are multiple interviews.
He reportedly spent 131 days there, 1 phone call per month, no in-person visits, no normal contact. For an artist whose entire life revolves around communication, music, influence, that kind of silence is psychological warfare. On January 6, 2026, his legal team filed a motion arguing the extended solitary confinement violated federal regulations and possibly the Eighth Amendment.
And I'm sensitive to that issue because I don't know of another art form, and you have your finger on the pulse of rap as good as anybody in the world.
A review hearing happened January 7th. By January 15th, he was moved back to general population. That's the footage people saw. That's what went viral. Not freedom, but air. Not acquittal, but access. For the first time in months, he could make regular calls again, have visits, speak to people without a wall between them.
And I guarantee you that Vlad cannot tell me another musical genre in which the government plays the game.
His attorney called it a small but meaningful step.
And that's exactly what it was. Small, but meaningful. The charges that make this so serious.
We started doing our homework, interviewing the producers, and found out that that song and the Durk part of it was done 7 months before.
Because here's the part that changes everything. Durk is not facing minor charges. Federal prosecutors allege conspiracy to commit murder for hire, using interstate facilities to commit murder for hire, resulting in death.
Each of them ended in Dubai, but they were row like 52 middle seat, and respectfully, it's Lil Durk.
Using and discharging firearms, including a machine gun, in furtherance of a violent crime resulting in death. If convicted on all counts, life in prison. Prosecutors have confirmed they are not seeking the death penalty, but the stakes are still enormous. His attorney, Drew Findling, described it as a binary outcome case. That means you win or you lose everything. There is no 5-year plea deal in cases like this.
He's not going to sit in the middle row for 17 hours in the back of the plane. A lot of people would. It's just more of a distraction to him.
Federal court doesn't operate like state court, and that distinction matters more than people realize. Where it all allegedly started. Prosecutors traced the case back to November 2020. That's when Durk's close associate, OTF artist King Von, real name Davon Bennett, was killed outside an Atlanta nightclub following an altercation involving the crew of Georgia rapper Quando Rondo.
He's got kids. He's got family. He's got his mom who he loves. He's got his dad who he's waited until 2019, after 26 years, to have a relationship.
What the government alleges next is chilling. They claim Durk placed a bounty on Quando Rondo. On August 19, 2022, at a gas station near the Beverly Center Mall in Los Angeles, shots were fired. Quando Rondo survived. His 24-year-old cousin, Lul Pab, Xavier Robinson, did not. An innocent man died. And that's the emotional weight sitting behind every court motion.
They got Lil Durk in a hole for basically some BS. And right now we're going to show the paper.
The federal difference. In federal cases, cooperation hits differently. At least one co-defendant, OTF Jam, or Jamal Norman, has reportedly cooperated.
I enjoy my time with him. He smiles. He smiles from ear to ear. He's just respectful to everybody on.
Federal cooperators don't just tell a story. They sit through multiple interviews, grand jury testimony, detailed debriefings. If they change their story later, perjury charges, false statement charges, more time. The system is built to lock their testimony in place.
For a fact, that's not the end of his story. Like, he coming from under that shit.
That's why defense attorneys treat federal cooperators as extremely dangerous witnesses. This isn't social media drama. It's structured prosecution. The lyrics war. One of the most controversial battles in this case centers around Durk's own music. On February 4, 2026, prosecutors pushed to admit lyrics and videos as evidence of motive. 5 days later, the judge split the difference. Certain lyrics from Hanging with Wolves were ruled inadmissible.
Always been somebody that, like, through all the adversity of any trials and tribulations, he always been able to, like, overcome that shit and reinvent.
Other material? Still under consideration. Durk's attorney argues this is a systemic issue, rap lyrics being treated like confessions instead of creative expression. He compared prosecutors digging through verses to a Where's Waldo hunt, scanning thousands of bars looking for something that can be loosely connected to a crime. One major example? The song Wonderful Wayne and Jackie Boy. Prosecutors claimed it celebrated the gas station shooting. The defense says Durk recorded his verse 7 months before the shooting even happened. 7 months. If proven, that completely undercuts the claim that the song was a reaction, and that detail could matter a lot at trial.
That's what really make him the GOAT to me, because when you come from where we come from and been through the stuff that we've been through, it's like, it's easy to give up.
Why the viral moment hit different. So when fans saw that footage of Durk out of solitary, it wasn't about celebration, it was relief, because this isn't a case about ego anymore, it's about survival. He's still in federal custody, still held without bond, still facing potential life, but for the first time in months, he's not alone in a concrete box. And in a case this heavy, that matters. The reality. This isn't a headline fight. It's not Instagram Live energy. It's not a rap beef. It's a federal case with 30,000 plus pages of discovery and a real victim whose family lost someone forever. The legal war hasn't even truly begun. The solitary release was a moment. The trial will be the war. And in federal court, there is no middle ground, only outcomes. And that's why that small clip went viral, because sometimes the smallest change feels enormous when everything else is on the line. In April 2025, the defense filed multiple motions to dismiss the indictment entirely. They argued the grand jury had been misled, specifically regarding allegedly altered or misrepresented lyrics. If the grand jury's foundation is compromised, the indictment itself can collapse. In November 2025, that motion denied. Then came another argument. The defense revealed there had been undisclosed death threats made against the judge and prosecutor. They claimed those threats could compromise the integrity of the proceedings. Denied. Another motion argued the indictment was vague and lacked sufficient clarity. Denied again, November 18, 2025. Every motion rejected, every door closed. But in a federal case where life imprisonment is on the table, you don't stop because the first wave fails. You keep swinging.
Times when you get that big, people work overtime to try to pull you down, to try to pull you off of that mountaintop, you feel?
The family speaks, and the lyrics debate gets personal. Durk's family stepped into the public arena with a statement that carried more emotion than legal language. They accused the government of presenting false evidence to the grand jury. They said his music has always been storytelling, expressions of trauma, grief, survival. And they framed the larger issue, Black artists being criminalized for their creativity. This isn't just about one case anymore. It's about precedent. Because if rap lyrics can be treated like sworn affidavits, then where does fiction end and prosecution begin? The bond battle, the question that won't go away. Every bail hearing has circled back to the same question. If you let this man out, will he run? Prosecutors say yes, and they've anchored that claim to one specific narrative. On October 24, 2024, when U.S. Marshals arrested Durk near Miami International Airport, authorities alleged he was attempting to flee the country. They pointed to international flight bookings, including trips to Dubai and Switzerland. That allegation has weighed down every bond request since. But the defense tells a different story. The flight itinerary controversy. Attorney Drew Feinling says his team obtained the complete flight records, and they tell a fuller picture. The prosecution allegedly highlighted flight stops like Rome. But according to the defense, every itinerary ended in Dubai, not Europe.
Sometimes that should just make you a different type of animal, type of beast, where you just like hearing like, damn, everybody can.
And then came a detail that shifted the narrative from legal to almost absurd. The flights were booked, economy class, back rows, middle seats. Feinling made a blunt argument. A globally recognized rap star with significant wealth does not flee justice by squeezing into a middle seat on a 17-hour commercial flight where half the passengers might recognize him. Logistically, it makes no sense. The defense argues the private jet booking came only after commercial flights proved impractical, not as part of some elaborate escape plan. The quiet bombshell most people missed. Here's something that hasn't gotten as much attention. After reviewing the complete itineraries, the federal probation officer assigned to evaluate flight risk concluded that Durk was not a flight risk. That recommendation was submitted to the court. The judge did not follow it. But the fact that an independent federal officer, whose job is to assess exactly this question, sided with the defense is significant. It shows this isn't as clear-cut as headlines suggest. The bond package. The defense's proposed bond package wasn't symbolic. It was aggressive. $1 million cash, $900,000 in real estate, $150,000 additional support, 24/7 armed security, electronic monitoring. That's not casual. That's designed to eliminate every conceivable concern. And still, the answer was no. The human side of the argument. Feinling has emphasized that Durk has reasons to stay. Children, family, a mother he loves, a father he didn't truly build a relationship with until 2019, a connection interrupted almost immediately by the pandemic. That detail adds weight, because bond isn't just about legal risk, it's about human ties. The defense argues those ties make flight unthinkable. But federal judges don't rule on emotion, they rule on risk. And so far, the court sees risk. The trial that keeps moving. The original trial date, January 7, 2025. Then October 2025, then January 2026. Now April 24, 2026, with a backup date of May 4th. Each delay driven by the sheer size of discovery and preparation requests from co-defendants. Interestingly, reports suggest Durk himself objected to the latest postponement. He wants trials sooner. That says something, because defendants eager to accelerate trial usually believe they can win. The pre-trial battlefield.
The lyrics fight isn't over. Certain lines from Hanging with Wolves were barred. Other material remains under consideration. Every piece of evidence admitted or excluded reshapes what 12 jurors will see. And in a circumstantial heavy case built on communications, travel records, and cooperating witnesses, pretrial rulings can decide everything.
Mental state under pressure. Findling has described Durk as composed, polite, confident, respectful, engaged with his legal team. That description contrasts sharply with the image prosecutors are trying to paint, a cold orchestrator of violence. Whether jurors ever see that side remains unknown, but according to his attorney, he has not broken under the pressure of potentially losing his freedom forever. What the culture is saying. G. Herbo has spoken publicly about the case. No hedging, no cautious phrasing. He expressed certainty that Durk will survive this chapter. Herbo framed it as part of a pattern, watching Durk reinvent himself repeatedly after setbacks that would have crushed most people. But he also acknowledged the pain. When someone reaches a certain level of success, scrutiny intensifies, enemies multiply, pressure builds, and sometimes the fall is what people wait for. The reality now. As of now, discovery still being reviewed, motions still being filed, cooperating witnesses still being prepared, Durk still inside the Metropolitan Detention Center, waiting for 12 jurors, waiting for April 2026, waiting for the moment where narrative becomes verdict. The crossroads. This case doesn't have a middle lane. It's binary. Acquittal and redemption, or conviction and decades, possibly life behind bars. The bond fight continues. The legal chess match continues. But time keeps moving, and every day that passes is another day inside. Now the question becomes bigger than legal filings. Do you believe this ends in freedom? Or is this the beginning of something irreversible? Let me know what you think. And if you want the next update when something major drops, make sure you stay locked in.